wartime, like climate change, pandemic, economic and social crises, wars and insecurity, migration and refugees, only confirm that isolationism, protectionism, unilateralism, intolerance, populism, and xenophobia inevitably lead to dead ends. The Secretary General's message is clear, insightful, and forward-looking. It is more than an appeal to member states, it is an appeal to all the citizens of the world. It is not just for climate that there is no planet B, it is for everything. For all of us, throughout the world, we are aware of this, that we will be tempted to speak promising multilateralism and paralyzing it and wasting time at the same time. 20 years after September 11th, 6 years after the Paris Agreement, a year and a half after the beginning of the pandemic, we need effective multilateralism more than ever. Not speeches, we need actions. There really is no more time to waste.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I wish to thank the President of Portuguese Republic for the statement just made, and I request the protocol to escort His Excellency. I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Kyrgyzstan to introduce an address by the head of state.
Distinguished Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, distinguished Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to present the video statement by His Excellency Sadir Japarov, President of the Kyrgyz Republic, at the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Thank you very much indeed. Distinguished Mr. President, distinguished Secretary General, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, from the outset, I would like to congratulate Mr. Abdullah Shahid from the state of the Maldives on his election to the post as President of the 76th session of the UN General Assembly. I would like to wish him every success in this important post. I would like to thank Mr. Volkan Bozkır from the state of Turkey for his work as the President of the 75th session of the UN General Assembly. Kyrgyzstan supports the topic of today's debate, which covers all pressing issues on the international agenda. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, 30 years ago, Kyrgyzstan became a fully fledged member and a subject under international law when it gained its sovereignty. Very recently, on the 31st of August, our multi-ethnic people celebrated 30 years of our country's independence. I believe, and I believe many would agree with me, that the country's main achievements over this historically short period of time is the establishment of democracy as a model for the development of statehood and for a strong society. I'd like to assure you that we will remain steadfast on the democratic path. This is what our freedom-loving people wants. We will soon mark the anniversary of the famous October events in our country, which kicked off a new stage in its contemporary history. Over the space of a year, we have managed to restore socio-political stability and socio-economic stability that has earned the trust and confidence of the people. The result referendum were recognised by the international community, including by OSCE observers from the UN Office of Democratic Institutions and Human Rights. General elections await us to the National Parliament, and they're slated for the 28th of November. I would call upon UN member states and international organisations to send their observers. We will put all conditions in place to ensure they can work fully and safely. We trust that by the time of the elections, the COVID-19 situation in the country will be back to normal. Distinguished Secretary General, on the 2nd of March 2022, we will also celebrate the 30th anniversary of Kyrgyzstan joining the United Nations Organization. Over that period, our country has been an active UN member state. It has been fully committed to the aims and principles of the United Nations Charter and has consistently favoured strengthening the prestige and role of the UN in international affairs. Unfortunately, over recent decades, these have been characterised by tension and conflict. Our country is keen and always eager to make its contribution to international efforts to tackle shared problems facing humanity. Based on these considerations, Kyrgyzstan put forward its candidacy to the Human Rights Council for 2023-2025 and put forward its candidacy as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council for 2027-2028. We urge all UN member states to support us in the elections. Next year, the 30th anniversary of joining the UN will also be celebrated by our dear neighbours in the region. We share a common history and, I'm convinced, a common future with them. I'd like to underscore that during our centuries-long relationship with our neighbours, Kyrgyzstan has always promoted equal dialogue and mutually acceptable cooperation. We've also advocated addressing all disagreements through negotiations alone. Given the significance of this date, in 2022, we propose holding a Central Asia UN Summit. The idea is to take stock together of mutual cooperation and develop joint plans for the future in terms of developing Central Asia and its security. We propose this summit be organised during the advisory meeting of the heads of state of Central Asia. I would ask the distinguished President of the General Assembly and the UN Secretary General to plan for their participation in their work schedules for next year. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thanks to its geographical location, the Central Asian states, from times of yore, starting from the Great Silk Road and to this very day, has been a bridge which joins the routes from the east to the west and the north to the south. Our region undoubtedly is becoming one of the most important hubs of world trade. This is despite having no direct access to the sea. In Central Asian countries, a gradual expansion of international roads and railways is underway. Logistical centres and transport hubs are being set up. In turn, Kyrgyzstan is actively developing its own roads, which is a part of the international transport through roads. In particular, work will soon be completed on an alternative north-south highway. We're also involved in a project to build the China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan mainline railway. We support the modernization of the Eurasian railway infrastructure. Even now, Kyrgyzstan is in a position to provide advantageous delivery times and costs for goods between countries of the Eurasian Economic Union, Central Asia, the People's Republic of China, and the European Union to the seaports of Karachi, Bandar Abbas, and the Black Sea. We would like to invite international logistic businesses to engage in multiform cooperation inter alia in the area of multimodal transport. Nonetheless, I'd like to underscore that successful investment projects and new transport corridors cannot provide maximum benefit if barriers to crossing state borders are maintained. In this regard, we advocate creating propitious conditions for international transport and preventing delays in freight flows between countries. We also advocate lifting barriers to economic cooperation and simplifying border crossing procedures and transit between countries and regions. Distinguished colleagues, we cannot fail to mention our concern regarding recent events in Afghanistan. We are in a position to provide 500 young Afghans with an opportunity to study in our universities and also to provide humanitarian assistance to those in need. First and foremost, these will be